Asian Shorts. Short stories about Asia. Written by Owen Jones, Trevor Ado, Jennifer J. Chow, David Collier, Bernard Foong, Gay Ingram, Mike Lord, Sarah Mallory. Narrated by Bob Sterry. The Bike by Mike Lord. Me oi! Me oi! For some reason this is always shouted twice. The family was having dinner, and the only way Ngok could make himself heard was to shout. When you're the youngest in the family, that can be difficult, and Ngok often found himself in trouble if he interrupted a conversation. "When is Wong going to university?" Ngok followed up. "Why do you want to know?" asked his mother. "Because then I can have her bike." Ngok's logic at the age of 10 was simple. Ngok had been pestering his mother for a bike for weeks since the new school year had started. He was in the last year of primary school, and apparently other boys had come to school this term with gleaming new bikes. Ngok's mother made a mental note to speak to her younger sister and see if she could borrow a bike for Ngok, an old one. Life was difficult since her husband had suddenly died 4 years ago, and the cost of a new bike would be an impossibility. 2 days later, Ngok was presented with an upright bicycle that had once been black. It had a basket on the front in fairly good condition and a metal small luggage rack on the back. It had been carefully cleaned with an oily rag the day before to hide the rusty parts. Ngok could not reach the pedals if he sat on the seat, so he learned to ride the bike by pedaling in a standing position. If he was careful, the seat did not bang into his back too often. He learned quickly that a friend, sitting on the luggage rack, could help him with the pedaling from behind. One afternoon in late October, Ngok and a cousin, Quang, decided to go and look for some catfish in the river. The river was behind the market, near to the house, on the road to the military airfield. Carefully, the 2 boys set off on the bike, with Quang pedaling from behind. The road was not used too much except by military vehicles, but in the late afternoon there was no traffic at all. They wanted to find some catfish, especially a big one. The river was about 2 kilometers from the market, which for 2 small boys is a long way. They parked the bike and had some problems with the old metal stand, as the bike kept on falling over, but eventually they managed to prop it up. From the bridge they could see the river, and noticed at once that the riverbed had been widened, although the flow of water was still very slow. The catfish were basking in the autumn sunshine, and they could see one very large one struggling in the shallow water, so the 2 boys, shouting, rushed down to try to catch it. The boys had not noticed that the river had been widened to allow for the construction of a small dam on the other side of the road, and a temporary embankment had been made to hold back the water until the spillway was completed. Catching the fish was no problem, but picking it up was, and as the 2 boys struggled, laughing, ankle-deep in the water, they became aware of some commotion on the river bridge immediately above them. When they looked up, there was a foreigner standing there. Later, they learned that he was an engineer who was supervising the construction of a new dam and the waterway system. Ngok could speak quite a lot of English, and as the 2 boys approached the foreigner, Ngok said, "Hello," and the foreigner looked up from where he was kneeling at the edge of the bridge. He had a large spanner in his hand and was trying to turn a large nut, but it wouldn't budge. Below the nut was a long threaded screw which went down below the level of the road. "Hi," said the engineer, who was sweating and cursing under his breath at the problem. "The river level's too high and will burst the embankment if we're not careful. Can you help me to open this floodgate?" The 2 boys tried to help, but the spanner was not big enough. The engineer
Sample complete. Ready to continue?